Welcome back, everyone. This is Heaven's Gate from beginning to end. Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles' backgrounds, how they built the cult, their bizarre beliefs, the rules members lived under, the castrations, Bonnie's death, the Hale-Bopp comet, and the mass suicide. Let's begin. Marshall Herfer Applewhite Jr. was born May 17, 1931, in Texas, son of a Presbyterian minister. He was talented, beautiful singing voice, natural charisma. He became a music professor and choral director at the University of St. Thomas in Houston. But beneath the surface, Marshall struggled with his sexuality. He was gay in an era where that was unacceptable. In 1970, he was forced to resign after affairs with male students. His wife divorced him. His career was destroyed. He spiraled into deep depression, hearing voices, having apocalyptic visions. He believed he was going insane. Then, in 1972, he met Bonnie Nettles. Bonnie Lou Terrisdale was born August 29, 1927, in Houston. She became a registered nurse and married businessman Joseph Nettles, having 4 children. But Bonnie was fascinated by spiritualism, the occult, and astrology. She joined the Theosophical Society and conducted seances. She claimed a 19th-century monk named Brother Francis spoke to her. Fortune tellers told her she would meet a mysterious tall man with light hair, a man with whom she would share a divine mission. In March 1972, she found him. When Marshall and Bonnie met at a hospital in Houston, they felt an instant spiritual connection. Applewhite said he felt like he'd known her in a past life. Nettles told him their meeting had been foretold by extraterrestrials and that he had a divine assignment. For depressed, suicidal Applewhite, this was salvation. Although they lived together, their relationship was not sexual. This was crucial for Applewhite, who desired a deep, loving, platonic relationship. Within months, both had abandoned their previous lives. On New Year's Day 1973, they left Houston together on what they believed was a divine mission. They traveled across the U.S., living out of their car, visiting churches, leaving notes announcing that 2 witnesses had arrived. This referenced Revelation chapter 11 to prophets who appear during end times, preach, are killed, then resurrected and taken to heaven in a cloud. Applewhite and Nettles became convinced they were these witnesses. They interpreted the cloud as a spaceship. This was the beginning of their theology, blending Christian millennialism with extraterrestrial belief. They called themselves Bo and Peep, then later T and Do. In 1975, Bo and Peep held public meetings in California and Oregon, claiming to be extraterrestrials in human form, sent to gather souls ready to evolve to the next level. They promised followers who joined would be taken aboard a UFO, given new perfect bodies, and live forever as advanced beings. About 200 people abandoned their lives to follow them. These weren't uneducated people. Many were middle class with college degrees. They were spiritual seekers, New Age believers, UFO enthusiasts willing to give up everything for transcendence. Being part of the group required total renunciation. Members cut off all contact with family and friends, abandoned jobs and homes. They lived communally, moving from campsite to campsite. They had no privacy, no personal possessions. Money was pooled and controlled by Bo and Peep. Most critically, sexuality was forbidden. Bo and Peep taught that sex bound humans to earthly bodies. Next-level beings had no reproductive organs or sexual desire. Members had to completely suppress sexuality. No sex, no masturbation, no romantic relationships, not even lustful thoughts. This was particularly important to Applewhite, whose struggle with sexuality had tormented him. By framing sexuality itself as the problem, he created a system where his desires weren't sinful, but obstacles everyone had to overcome. Members were assigned partners who monitored each other constantly. Privacy was dangerous. They instituted the process. Complete transformation of identity. Members chose new names, usually 3 consonants, followed by OD. Everyone wore similar clothes and got identical short haircuts. The goal was to eliminate individual expression and create a unified, genderless group. The group became increasingly isolated. For most of the late 1970s and early 1980s, Heaven's Gate disappeared from public view, moving constantly, staying below radar. Members worked temporary jobs, pooling income. Without outside information, members had no perspective beyond what T and Do told them. After T's death, Do tightened control dramatically. Rules became stricter. Surveillance intensified. One extreme manifestation was castration. In the early 1990s, several male members, including Applewhite, underwent voluntary surgical castration. The reasoning: sexuality was the primary force binding humans to bodies. Removing biological capacity for sex would help overcome this obstacle. At least 6 to 8 male members were castrated by a Mexican surgeon in Tijuana. Applewhite was literalizing the destruction of the part he viewed as problematic. When February 1979 passed without apocalypse, Therio explained the miscalculation and followers accepted it. After this, Therio married every female member and demanded he impregnate all of them. Over years, he fathered 26 children, but these children weren't loved. They were born into nightmare. In the early 1990s, Heaven's Gate began recruiting again. They took out full-page ads in USA Today. UFO cult resurfaces with final offer. They created cable TV show Beyond Human and launched heavensgate.com. Despite efforts, few new people joined. By 1996, membership dwindled to about 40. In October 1996, they moved into a 9,200 square foot mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, paying $7,000 monthly rent with web design income. Inside, life was regimented to extremes. Precise schedules for wake-up, meals, work, study, bedtime. Everyone wore uniforms, baggy dark clothes, hiding body shape. Everyone had short hair. Everyone looked alike. Despite strictness, members seemed genuinely happy. They believed they were special, about to transcend humanity. And in 1996, an event would convince them the time had come. In July 1995, Comet Hale-Bopp was discovered. By early 1997, it was visible to naked eye. In November 1996, amateur astronomer Chuck Schrammick photographed the comet and noticed what appeared to be a bright object following it. He posted online claiming a Saturn-like object trailed the comet. Astronomers debunked this. It was a star or camera artifact. But Heaven's Gate didn't care. They believed the object was a spaceship, T's spaceship coming to collect them. Do announced this was it, the final window. Earth would be recycled. T was aboard that spacecraft behind Hale-Bopp. But the spaceship couldn't take human bodies. They had to shed their containers. They had to die. Do framed it not as suicide, but as the final step in metamorphosis. Ultimate proof they'd overcome attachment to human existence. Members who'd spent decades preparing now faced reality of what that meant. And they accepted it. In March 1997, as Hale-Bopp reached peak visibility, Heaven's Gate began preparing for graduation. This wasn't spontaneous. It was methodical, planned, businesslike. Members recorded farewell videos. They created exit statements for their website. They bought identical outfits, black shirts, black sweatpants, brand new Nike Decade sneakers. They bought vodka phenobarbital, applesauce, and plastic bags. The group divided into 3 shifts over 3 days. On March 21st, they ate a final meal together. Turkey, pot pies, cheesecake, iced tea. After seeing movie Wings of Desire, they returned to the mansion. The first 15 drank vodka pelsos phenobarbital mixture and laid down in bunk beds. Someone placed plastic bags over their heads, secured with rubber bands. Purple cloths covered their faces. Within hours, they were dead. Surviving members removed bags, arranged bodies, tidied up. Then the second shift of 15 took their turn. On March 24th or 25th, the final 9, including Applewhite, died. By March 26th, all 39 were dead. On March 26, 1997, San Diego Sheriff received anonymous call from Rio de Janeiro. Former member asked to stay behind and inform the world. Police found 39 bodies arranged in bunk beds, all dressed identically, all dead from apparent suicide. The house was immaculate. Within hours, news helicopters circled. The story exploded worldwide. The victims ranged from 26 to 72 years old. Nurses, teachers, computer programmers, musicians. Some had been with the group over 20 years. Among the dead was Thomas Nichols, brother of Star Trek actress Nichelle Nichols, and Applewhite himself, age 65, one of the last to die. The world struggled to understand. How could 39 people willingly kill themselves? Mental health professionals explained this was culmination of 25 years gradual indoctrination. You don't start with kill yourself to board UFO. You start with you're special. Then I can help you evolve. Then cut off family. Then suppress sexuality. Then you're no longer human. Each step seems reasonable if you've accepted previous steps. Not everyone died. Rio D'Angelo handled media, defending their right to choose while acknowledging how it looked. He maintained the website for years and committed suicide himself in 2007. Other survivors struggled with identity. Their entire worldview, social network, purpose came from the group. Families had to process not just death, but bizarre circumstances. The Heaven's Gate website remains online today, maintained by surviving members or supporters. It's a time capsule from 1997, containing original materials, theology, exit videos, farewell messages. Documentaries and books have examined the group. HBO's 2020 Heaven's Gate, The Cult of Cults, featured extensive interviews. The case is studied in psychology, sociology, and religious studies. What's the lesson? First, intelligence isn't protection against manipulation. Members included college graduates and skilled professionals. Second, isolation is dangerous. Cutting off outside contact creates closed information environment. Third, incremental indoctrination works. Each step toward extremism seems small. Fourth, apocalyptic thinking is inherently dangerous. Fifth, charismatic leaders need accountability. 27 years later, Heaven's Gate remains one of the most infamous cults in American history. Marshall Applewhite, who genuinely believed he was helping people evolve, led them to preventable deaths. Whether mentally ill, charlatan, or true believer is debated. Evidence suggests he believed he died alongside followers, but belief doesn't make something true. 39 people died March 22 to 26, 1997, believing they were leaving Earth for something greater. Convinced Applewhite had shown them transcendence, they died wrong. The lesson: belief, no matter how sincere, isn't the same as truth. Certainty isn't proof. Dying for faith doesn't make that faith valid. Heaven's Gate members sacrificed everything: families, identities, bodies, lives, for a belief that was false. There was no next level, no tea aboard spacecraft, no graduation, only death and grief of those left behind. So what do you think? Could Heaven's Gate happen again? Are there groups today using similar tactics? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this informative, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.